While I don't understand, let me ask you one question. If I had a gun right now, and they can shoot your head, or you have a gun, when you shoot your head, what happens to you? You are dead. Can you shoot yourself on the head 3 times? So what happens to the capital? You die. Wow, can I sign your agreement? Do you believe I thought I saw the food? Do you believe that the revenue some people, beautiful guys, both of them married and let their wife and husband marry, and they were called to review something that ended up in the church. And you come and say they were in the car having sex. Is there no motel on Broad Street? If not, why don't you go to have the call? Do you believe, Chuck, that they were truly in the car having themselves? I would say God. As a man of God, to dream of God to preach the gospel of truth. And without that, God to do and some beautiful. There are many reasons. They will go on and on. My wife, here's some people talking about, let's see a Coca-Cola factory. Coca-Cola factory was right on the other end. Those that every day make people saying, I work with Coca-Cola. And I work with Coca-Cola. You work with Coca-Cola. You see, different Labrador and find the chemical to mix chemical. I can mix Coca-Cola. I can make my own Coca-Cola. But they boast on everything they do to be on the board of Coca-Cola and the boasting. But to be on board of Coca-Cola, to be on board of everything, I work with FIFA. You understand? But now, being on the board, if you're on the board and Coca-Cola is close in Liberia, and you're Liberian, then that's it. Do you know how Coca-Cola came back to this country? Those that boasting that were on the board and what have you, they were there and they allowed Coca-Cola to close and leave. Today the Coca-Cola and the soft drink that you drink it.
They won't step on my blessing, but God get it breaking. They won't call it my blessing, but God get it breaking.
Friendship, see friendship. Come see Papa T friendship. I don't want no Papa friendship. Wangolo,
They want me to go. And I say, It's Wednesday in Liberia. This is Punch TV. The program is Trending Issues. Across Liberia in the diaspora, I would like to say welcome to the program, Trending Issues. It's 5 minutes after 4 o'clock. We are here shooting up to 6 o'clock this evening. This is Punch TV. This is the program Trending Issues. My name is Vanny Dix. Warm greetings, good afternoon, welcome to the program. We are here with your sensational program this evening. Punch TV, coming big and bad, as we say in Liberia. Too many things to talk about, many things unfolding in the country. We are State of Nation address being responded to by folks from the opposition. A whole lot of things to talk about this afternoon on the program. Again, this is Punch TV. The program you are listening to is Trending Issues. My name is Vanny Dix, and again, let me say welcome to the show. So coming up very shortly at 4:15, we are hoping to host the Vice Chairperson for Inter-Party and NEC Affairs of the former ruling party, Unity Party, Madam Cornelia Kratupa. She's going to be talking about her representative bid in Montserrat County District 13. We'll have a view as well expressed on yesterday on the President's State of Nation address on Monday, I should say. Subsequently, we will take former Liberia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Elias Shoneye. The interview with these folks should have been held on last week, but due to some technical constraints that we were faced with, we had to reschedule. So thank you wheresoever you are in the diaspora. It's Wednesday in Liberia. You are seated in your office. Warm greetings. The Yana boys, I'd like to extend profoundest sympathies to you on the passing of your big man, Prince Colley. It is a saddening occurrence. What is Liberia turning into? So wheresoever you are, please keep sharing the video. Share as many times as you can. Punch TV is here to make a very significant impact in the Liberian media landscape. Welcome and welcome. It's Wednesday in Liberia. Trending issues. Big things to talk about. Quite recently, the State of Nation address was trying to play some hold, trying to sway away some attention from the Stanton Witherspoon case there in the US. But latest information coming up again says Stanton is not only faced with a single case at the level of the US, but this man has been charged in another state. In another state, I should say. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about our own assessment of the WIA-led government over the last 5 to 6 years. Good afternoon. Trending issues. Punch TV. My name is Vanny Dix. Cherry is in the back, making sure that we come to you this afternoon, working on all of the sounds and the visual aspect as well. So again, welcome to the program. This is Trending Issues. Let us bring down the music. Again, we are hoping that we can connect with our county correspondents to fill us in with what is trending in their respective counties. But before we take on Cornelia, sometime 4:15 during the program, the case with Stanton Witherspoon, the CEO of Spoon Network, was trying to be swayed away from the public space in the last few days because of the State of Nation address that was being delivered by His Excellency President George Weah on Monday. But the latest information coming in is that Stanton Witherspoon has also been charged by a Southern District Court in Florida. He has also been charged. He also acknowledged receipt of being charged by another court in the Southern District Court of Florida. So he has been slammed with multiple court cases regarding the latest situation. Stanton Witherspoon has a case in which it is only him versus the U.S. government. There is also a case with Stanton Witherspoon and two other fellows against the U.S. government. So he has multiple cases regarding the latest wire fraud saga that came up from the level of the U.S. So there is a case involving Stanton Witherspoon as well as Alfred Selou and Rennie Bendel. So the three are the defendants in a case involving the U.S. government, now serving as the plaintiff in that case. But also there is another case that Stanton Witherspoon has actually acknowledged that he has another court case in a different state in the U.S. government, but everything borders on the same alleged fraudulent situation. And we are being told as per court document, Stanton, as well as his accomplices in the court case involving the U.S. government, if they are found liable of the charges that have been levied against them, like I was saying from the inception of this case, is that they stand to forfeit many properties that have been dispatched all across the U.S. So the case involving Stanton as well as Alfred Selou and Rennie Brender, these people allegedly have been able to have property in, they say, the real property located in 200 Mills Road, Burlington, real property located in 72nd Vincent Drive, Burlington, New Jersey, real property located at 40 Torrington Lane, Wellington, New Jersey, real property at 55 Pembroke Lane, Wellington, New Jersey, real property located at 13663 Kenty Court, Delray Beach, also in Florida, and real property located at 1331 Arbor Hill Court is also another property that we are told. So the bottom line here is that Stanton Witherspoon has got a case, a separate case with the U.S. government regarding the wire fraud, the alleged wire fraud scheme that he is said to be involved with. Also, there is a separate case involving Stanton as well as two other persons. Last week, the federal authorities released a document in which Stanton Witherspoon as well as few other persons have been conspiring allegedly in this scheme. So the U.S. government released this document saying, this is what we have on you. You have been communicating with people in different parts of the U.S., reportedly issuing fake documents to people. So the case involving Witherspoon, when we see most of the folks who are trying to be sympathetic regarding these things, is that the magnitude, you are talking about the U.S. government being a plaintiff in a case involving Stanton Witherspoon. The U.S. government is the plaintiff in this case. So this is not an individual to individual case, but rather it is an individual versus the U.S. government. So it tells you the magnitude of this case, and it tells you the probability of one being exonerated from such a case. It is very slim. We do not wish him well, but all we have been saying since this issue surfaced in the media, in the public space, is that it is a grave issue that borders on public health safety. It is a grave issue that borders on one's integrity, criminality as well. So thus requiring the public's input in these matters. Yeah, we see people saying, bringing prayer band to pray for Witherspoon. We see people talking about the case or a stay before court. We are saying it warrants discussion in the public space. They have had their first hearing with the court, we are told. They're supposed to be reappearing. But everything the U.S. government is doing, these court documents are being released regularly. It's not like Liberia where you go to the Supreme Court or you go to whatsoever, the civil law court, and then these things are like lawyers are tight-lipped on them. The court document before they are released in the public. Sometimes journalists have to be back and forth to get these things. These people are on time releasing court documents. So the magnitude of this case, the increasing magnitude of this case simply tells you, like I said, they have acquired properties in different parts of the U.S. and these properties, they stand to forfeit these properties if they are found culpable of the crimes that they are being charged for. We don't wish him well, but we have been concerned with the public health safety aspect. We are also concerned with the criminality aspect. Like I said, the Liberian government recently passed into law the dual citizenship bill, which was passed into law. So we should be concerned what Liberians are engaged with on the foreign front, in the diaspora when they go out there. What are they doing that could have a dent on the image of the country? This place is not a society where we encourage even a single citizen that goes out there and wants to acquire wealth overnight through greed. And so these are things that should be condemned, especially if the person is found liable of committing the crime that has been levied against them. So that is one of the trending issues that is unfolding in the public. And so on Monday, President Weah took to this public podium and told the Liberian people that his government is an exception in the West African sub-region. Can you imagine that? Liberia being an exception in the West African sub-region. So he is simply trying to say Nigeria, which is the biggest economy in Africa, followed by South Africa, the second largest economy in Africa. President Weah is saying that his government has surpassed those two governments as well as many other governments in Africa. This is gross deception, broad day deception. This is the kind of deception that should receive some level of reaction, that the president himself should know that you can lie, bold-faced lie in the faces of the people when they know what they are confronted with every day. I usually say to people that the economy does not need a spokesperson. If the economy is good or bad, it is reflected in the living condition of the people. Do your own survey across the counties in this place. The living condition of Liberians, if it has not further degenerated, then I don't know what could be the best diction to ascribe to what we have been faced with over the last 5 to 6 years. The CDC-led government did not come to empower the Liberian people. A government that takes power with the fulcrum of empowering the Liberian people, you will know from the policies and the intervention of that government. And I've said the surest means. I was watching one of the World Economic Forum, usually held in Switzerland, and former British Prime Minister, as well as many other persons, were having that debate. And from that moment on, I took that very important point, that the surest way of fighting poverty or lifting people out of poverty is the creation of opportunities. The surest way to eradicate poverty is for you to create opportunities. Opportunities may provide many means where Liberians or the people will have jobs. Where are the opportunities under the CDC-led government to take the young people from the state of abject poverty? We are not even in low-income country status. We are not even at that level. And this government promised the people that they would have taken Liberia to middle-income status. Like the people say, is a lie. Under the CDC-led government over the last 5 to 6 years, Transparency International, all of the reports that has been released, CDC has failed very massively in everything. Also, take for example, Ghana, that is right here. When a government is serious about empowering the people, like I said, it will be clearly evident. It will be evident in the policies and the intervention of that government. Right here, Accra, Ghana, what did Nana Akufo do to ensure that people are empowered? In Ghana, Akufo instituted the one district, one factory policy. The one district, one factory policy. Meaning in every district you went to in Ghana, there is a factory there that is producing things. In every district in Ghana, you have a factory that is into manufacturing things. Those creating jobs for the people in every district. Where is it in Liberia? In every district in Liberia, Nana Akufo instituted the every district, one ambulance policy. Where is it in Liberia? So, even the issue of the fire service, these things people take them lightly. The fire service, just as President Weah met many of these things, to be very frank, he's leaving these things like that. I have said President Weah met Zogos on the streets. He's going to leave them on the streets as well. The key issues that Liberians are faced with is for a government that will show that it is not a toothless bulldog, a government that demonstrates political will in fighting corruption, a government that demonstrates honesty and love for country in empowering the people. Mr. Weah, over the last 5 to 6 years, in my fair view, he has miserably failed. I can't match my war on that. The CDC-led government was elected on a mantra of uplifting the people. Has that been done? The answer is no. Look at the latest report that came on the forestry sector. A cartel at the level of the FDA plundering the rainforest of this country under the eyes of President Weah. If you read that report, you will know that even the US and the EU government, as well as the Swedish government, engaged President Weah on this issue with the depleting of the rainforest in Liberia. President Weah informed the international partners that he was not aware. It is on the internet. You can do your research. During the Ellen-led government, whenever Transparency International released a report, you will see the CDC people everywhere. Oh, they say Unity Party corrupt. But under this government, I was deeply appalled on yesterday to have seen one of the deputy ministers saying, and even one of the deputy director generals at LBS, considering the TR report as a mere paper. So while you were in opposition, you gave credence to this report. While you were in opposition, you gave credence to the TR report. You took power and you said the TR report is not something that people should consider seriously. Yeah. So while you were in opposition, you said the TR report, you hailed the Transparency International for releasing those reports on the Unity Party government. From 2018 to now, all of the reports that has been released by TR, the CDC, has failed in these areas. I'm trying also to get Emmanuel Digler on. As we go along with the discussion, we will have Emmanuel Digler on from Margibi County to fill us in with what is unfolding in that part of the country. We'll also get Cherry to come on the platform this afternoon. There was an incident that occurred within the red light belt yesterday regarding some issues with a man and a woman, but Cherry will give us the detail on what actually happened in red light. But again, like I was saying, the CDC-led government has got no moral ground to say you want to lash at the TR report that you once hailed when you were in opposition. This is deception, my people. This is complete deception. You can't hail something in the opposition and then while you're in office, you say it's a mere paper. The TR report shows that CDC has been entrenchedly corrupt over the last 5 to 6 years. The latest GAC report on the auditing of the payroll system uncover massive discrepancies when it comes to the issue of salary system and salary structure from one government functionary to the other. You do all of these stealing of state funds. You implement small projects. Then you start to show the people this project and say this is the reason we should take you back. And this is why Liberians have to be very mindful as we edge onto election. People need to be sensitive to election projects. People need to be sensitive to election friendship. I saw a video on Facebook where the president is having breakfast or dinner with some of the comedians in Liberia, Angel Michael, Joseph Dean, as well as one of the other comedians also he was having dinner with. So Liberians have got to be sensitive to election friendship. We have got to be sensitive to election projects. So I will get Emmanuel Digler on the line to fill us in with what is unfolding in Margibi County. Cornelia has just entered the studio, but we'll be taking her on in the next couple of minutes. But like I have said, the CDC-led government has entrenched flunked in every aspect of measurement in terms of governance, the economy as well. You can't be in the opposition. Emmanuel, welcome to the program this afternoon. Emmanuel, warm greetings. Good afternoon. Welcome to Trading Issues. It seems Emmanuel is still trying to set up. Good afternoon, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, good afternoon. Sorry, he went off the line. We will still try to connect with him. So, like I was saying, my fair assessment of the CDC-led government is that this government has not lived up to what it promised the Liberian people while they were in opposition. From the issues of corruption to the issue of empowering the Liberian people, changing their well-being, this has not been the case. Go on Broad Street, it is still the same way it was some 5 to 6 years ago. From Red Light to other places, it is still the same way. And I keep saying, to eradicate poverty, the remedy is for you to create opportunities for the young people and the society at large. This has not been forthcoming under the WIA-led government. And I cited instances with Nana Akufo of Ghana, one district, one factory policy, one district, one ambulance policy. These things are the propelling factor when it comes to transforming a society. Emmanuel, let me see if I can have you back on. Emmanuel, good afternoon. Welcome. Good afternoon, Emmanuel. Welcome to the show. Emmanuel, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, Vanny, I hope you're doing great this afternoon.
Okay, we don't have much time in our favor. Can you?
Hear me?
Yeah, I'm getting you now. Bring me up to speed. What's happening in Margibi County? Emmanuel?
What's happening in Margibi in terms of the president's State of the Nation address, especially with the fact that he mentioned projects about Margibi County.
Okay.
Hello? You hear me?
I'm getting you. Emmanuel. The network in your end seemed to be very bad. So we will try to reconnect with you. Let me see if we can run for a very short break. Our first studio guest has already joined us in studio. We will also make frantic effort at reconnecting with Emmanuel this afternoon, and also Cherio to tell us what actually unfolded in the red light on yesterday. But stay with us now as we run for this brief break quickly on the program.
bestie. The bestie da la bestie for a friend.
I say, see bestie wanting to weffy, weffy want him as only find a friend like me.
Please.
DJ Young T.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the program. This is Trending Issue. I would like to welcome you again on the program. Punch TV, you are watching live. If you are in the diaspora, please share this video. Subsequently, we will open the phone lines to have you get your say on the program on 775-145-832. Cornelia, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody listening and following this show.
Okay. It is my pleasure having you on this afternoon.
It's my pleasure to be here. This is my first official visit to Punch FM.
Okay.
And I'm quite excited to be here because we watched Patrick strongly and passionately fight to ensure that Punch FM came back online. So it's like a dream come true for us to be here, especially elections here.
Thank you so much. So with limited time in our favor, I will start punching with a few lines of question quickly, and we will talk about your representative bid in Montreal District 13, and then later on we get your say on President Weah's State of the Nation address. But I want to start off with what has been the motivating factor behind you wanting to contest in District 13.
So I contested in District 13 in 2018. That was the first time to win the by-elections. That saw the elections of Edward Flomo to the House of Representatives. And since then, I didn't see that loss as the end of my political joining. I'm someone who has been interested in politics for a very long time. I've been following trend of leadership from my student days and went as far as studying politics at the master's level. So this is my career path, if I may say. So after 2018, it just pushed me to get more involved. 2018, we only had 3 months to throw our hats into the race and to try to get the people to buy into our own agenda for District 13. That didn't work. So since then till now, we have been propagating our message, telling the people what alternatives we can bring, the experience that we bring to the table, and the vision we have for District 13. So that has just been my motivation, pretty much wanting to initiate change, wanting to have somewhere where I can give back to the society that has given me a lot.
We will talk about your vision, but give us a kind of descriptive picture of the situation in District 13 regarding living situation, regarding issues that the people are confronted with. Give us a picture of how things are like.
So District 13 pretty much is the same way the entire Liberia is. It's as though the country is static, and lives are becoming harder by the day. District 13, we have a representative as though we don't have one. And for me, I normally say that you can't blame him 100% because this guy was frank enough to tell us that he had absolutely no experience about being a leader. That was going to be his first job ever in his entire life. And with no understanding of what a lawmaker should be, but according to him or in his words, his people petitioned him at the time and they wanted him to contest. So if you go into a place where you have zero idea of the workings of that place or what your key function should be, it takes a little long for you to be able to perform, provided if you're someone who is actually interested in change. So as a result of this, we have a district that is dormant. We have not had district sitting, I think since the 5 years or so that he has been elected. We've had district sitting 1 or 2 times, We know absolutely nothing that is happening in the capital and the representation that is being made there. If you follow the media and general analysis of District 13's representation in the legislature, you understand that he has been classified alongside other lawmakers as bobo lawmakers because they don't really push any major agenda to plenary. And even in the district, there are some people who would not represent at the capital, but in the district, you will feel the impact. For us, we are at a loss at both sides. In the district, you only see the lawmaker when he decides to distribute 5,000 to people or go around distributing rice. And I normally say that that type of leadership is not what Liberians need.
Have you done an assessment need? What are the major things that are really needed in District 13?
As I was saying, that type of leadership is not what we need. District 13 is faced with a lot of challenges. One, like all parts of Liberia, the infrastructure issue in District 13 is a challenge. We have issues with our feeder roads. We have the Japanese highway that runs through District 13, but the various feeder roads going to the different communities are in a deplorable state. And as a lawmaker or one representing your people, you think that you're able to advocate for those roads to be included in the national infrastructure plan, even if it's once a year that you get them to do one major road. The New Jersey road has been, I live in New Jersey, that road has been a challenge. You have the Chocolate City road, the Topo Village, and all the little feeder roads all have problems in the district. And as we know, road connectivity is one key indicator or one contributor to economic growth and general well-being of the people. The health sector in District 13 is also almost non-existent. We have small clinics around, but no major clinic that gets support from the government. Where there are smaller clinics, you expect that government can provide subsidies for these clinics to be able to beef up their provision of medical services to the people. That is not something that is being advocated for by the lawmaker. We don't have any referral clinic in District 13, so there is the whole health situation that has not been addressed in District 13. And those are just few. There's also the issue of security and drugs. Just today, we understand that there has been a second drug bust in District 13. Recently, we heard there was a 10 million cocaine bust right in District 13. Today, again, the news headlines from daily observers report that there has been a second consignment of drugs in District 13, and there is just an increase in the number of young people in the district that are abusing drugs currently, and that will cause disadvantaged youth, and that has also security implications. If you listen to the Kapao in the Nigeria, almost all the communities that are listed, most of them are from District 13, New Jersey, Chocolate City. You cannot go.
Cornelia, let me take you to your platform. When you go across District 13, what are you telling the people? This is the reason why, or these are the reasons I would like you to vote me.
So there are a lot of things that we are interested in, but we were able to compile them into 7 pillars that range through different aspects. The first one is the issue of accountability and participatory leadership. Currently in the district, there is no accountability. The 30,000 or whatever that lawmakers signed for, we don't know what else is going into. We have these big companies in the district who got corporate social responsibility. They're making contributions to the district. We don't know how much contribution that is and where the money is going to. You have the sand mining company in Battery Factory that gives thousands of dollars to the district. We have no accountability of it. So we intend to be more accountable to our people and transparent in the way we lead. We also intend for it to be participatory. So it's not just you as the lawmaker sitting and making a decision on behalf of the people. That is where inclusive leadership and participatory. I'm more interested in participatory leadership because that is where you have your council, you have your young people and your women at least once in a while meeting and telling you these are our needs, these are ways that we feel that we can address it. We're also interested in infrastructure. I earlier talked about the feeder roads and the deplorable conditions that they have. District 13, like most of the other districts across Monserrado, we have a huge challenge with electricity, where where you have many communities without access to electricity, or they will have a transformer but there is no connectivity to each of the different houses within, so there is still no access to electricity in as much as is available. That's something too that we are going to prioritize. In our district, if you go across District 13, you will see that we have a lot of markets. So we have the Bashofisho market and the Georgian market. Supermarket is not in the district, but vast majority of the people who live there in our marketeers, they sell in the supermarket. We start up businesses as well and see ways that we can be able to invest into this. And as a matter of fact, currently we run a program for small and medium enterprises. We run loan schemes for women.
Yes. So on the SME something, I want you to give me details, because sometimes when the people are aspiring for these positions, they said, how are you going to empower SME within the area? Because this is not going to come from your purse.
One challenge with SME is access to financing.
Great.
And we know that in order to get financing, you cannot just as a small business holder go to a bank like Access Bank and tell Access Bank that I want to get money.
So what
there are also these informal institutions that give out loans that you also cannot move to. So one of the things that we are going to try to do is to set up cooperatives in the district. And what I mean by cooperatives is, if you have market women, for example, those who sell fish, if you go in every market, you will find a market woman that sells fish. If you do it in the form of a cooperative and it's more organized, it's possible for the cooperative to take loan on behalf of those women, and they can be able to expand their businesses. That's access to funding. We're also interested in creating a pool fund for District 13, not just for small and medium enterprises, but for most of our interventions in District 13. In order to develop your district, you need not only to depend on what comes as district development funds. For example, currently we have a leadership or a government that has no interest in the people, and as a result, they cancel the district development fund until this year because they know it's elections year. So what can you do as a leader in a time where the government feels that district development fund is not a priority? It's by finding other sources of funding for your people. District 13, if you move around the district, you will see that we have a lot of access to wetland. If you involve in agriculture, you will know that those wetlands can be used for different agricultural purposes. Currently in the district, there are a group of women who came together, and they are farmers, like small farmers from outside Monserrato who reside there, and they go around planting. Currently they plant like vegetables and rice. So if you empower those kinds of groups to invest more, and a percentage go to them as their organization, and another percent goes to the district pool fund where you take money to invest in other things, that's a way that you can generate
Fight where most time it is that these are sweet talks. Is this message really resonating with the people? Are they buying into what you're telling them?
So it's one thing to have sweet talk, and it's another thing to actually see some of these things being implemented before the person gets the willpower. So I run a couple of projects across the district currently. The one that targets on my pillar to small and medium enterprises is where now we work with different women groups with the different village savings to see how we can empower them individually. When you are elected, you get more political will, which means you can walk up to Access Bank. The women in my district have formed a cooperative, and I will serve as the guarantee for you to give them loan. You can only do that with political willpower. I, as an individual, can issue of the agriculture. I told you about these women that are farmers currently. So we're currently working with them at a low level, and when we have access to more funding, and at least we are capable to lobby for grants. I come from the organizational background, so I know for a fact that there are grants available for different organizations that you can harness. So these are things that will be able to provide technical support in
Before I get your assessment of the legislature and move into other things, 2018 journey and 2023 journey, if you were to compare and contrast, how different will this journey be as compared to your previous journey?
2018, I was quite new to Liberian mainstream politics. I had studied politics, but the direct application of politics was another thing. You read one thing in the textbook and the application is another. So now I have had experience from 2018 up to now, so I'm an old hand in Liberian politics. Also 2018, when I just got involved in Liberian politics, for someone to put the name Cornelia Kratopa to a face, it was more difficult. So I spent half of the 3 months that we had to campaign just trying to get people to know, okay, this person is Cornelia. From 2018 to now, we have managed to grow politically in a way that the name Cornelia Kratopa now is a household name in Liberia. So I won't spend a lot of time on that. Also, we've been able to maintain our relationship with the communities, the different communities in District 13 as compared to 2018. Okay. So 2018 is a whole different ball game. We have invested a lot of time, effort, and energy into this. The people have seen the passion, and we're just pretty much now doing the finishing touches as we wait for October to go to the polls.
So the question of the legislature, what is your fair assessment of that body? I mean, both houses.
I think the legislature could do better, especially the House of Representatives. I think the House of Representatives has so much power and is using so little of it. And I think we can do better. For the Senate, I would say the Senate is performing better than the House of Representatives. We have seen in recent time where the Senate has, say, questioned the budget without just passing it. We have seen the Senate debating issue thanks to Senator Dillon and the others in the Senate that has brought this almost like transparency to the Senate, so we get to follow through on everything that they do, and we see the way that they're taking the Senate to a more respectable level of debating issues concerning Liberians and passing on it. I look forward to a House of Representatives that does the same, where we also can set certain standards and make sure that when we're discussing things affecting the Liberian people is done in a respectable manner and one that reflects the position that we will hold as lawmaker. So in order to do that, you need a block of strong, experienced, educated, passionate, and Liberians who are actually change makers to do that. So I'm looking forward to this year getting more vibrant people in the House of Legislature. I'm looking forward to getting more young people that are passionate about change, and hopefully we can help elevate the standard.
What do you say to those who say it is a place where integrity and honesty is out of their dictionary?
I would not agree 100%. Okay. Obviously, it should not be a place where integrity is out of your diction. You know, integrity pretty much means that it's something that even when people are not looking at you, you would do. So it just boils down to morals. If you don't have certain morals, you will be doing what when no one else is looking at you, you will do. And for you, you will consider that as integrity. But we want to see a House of Representatives where there are people with morals, there are people with strong beliefs in certain things, and you stand by it. And I agree that the House should be one where you put country above self, where you put the interests of your people above yourself, and you make the ultimate sacrifice, because that is why you are there to represent the people. So we can do better. The House of Representatives can definitely do better. And I think the more we have people who understand what the legislature should be about, who understand different principles of the House and our general Liberian principles and what we stand for, will have better representation.
In an economy like ours, where inflation is high, where the livelihood of the people is further degenerating, in a society like Liberia, how much do you think a lawmaker should be making?
I think I agree to an extent with Senator Dillon when he said that a lawmaker should at least make 5,000. 5,000 is a reasonable amount that should be able to cater for you and your family and take care of the time you're investing. Because, you know, as lawmakers, it's not just volunteer is also the time. So you have to look at the opportunity cost of you working somewhere else and getting that particular earning, and you working for your people. So there should be some level of compensation for that. But whether it should be exorbitant is something else to look at. And I like to be more objective when I'm discussing that. And sometimes I tend to agree with one school of thought that says that the Liberian people are those who actually make law, but want to make just if I have to take care of people's with people giving birth. They will come to you and tell you, oh, my woman pregnant, we're going to the hospital, with somebody is sick, with somebody rent is due, with somebody has scholarship. On a daily basis you get not less than 10 letters requesting help. If you're making only 5,000 and there is no extra money for district development or no extra pool fund that you can take money from to invest in your people, then you tend to want to go for all of these sitting fees and all these different things, because that's how you expand your revenue generation to cover for the needs. That also happens when you have an economy that is as weak as ours, because if the people in the private sector who actually work and make decent salaries, they won't have to turn to beggars to come and beg lawmakers for everything. So it's a two-way street.
Your hands are yet to be lifted by your party in District 13. How confident are you that you're going to emerge on the UP's ticket for that part?
I'm confident that I will get the Unity Party's ticket for District 13. We have been doing our work there. Our party's constitution is quite clear about how decision on the tickets are made. Decision on who runs on the party's ticket as representative is taken by the party leaders in the district. And since 2018 till now, I have been very involved with the party at the district level, working with them. District 13 is one of the few districts in Montserrado currently that has a functional district office where you have the party officials there can go to every day. District 13 is one of the few districts in Montserrado County where we meet. We have had in recent times, since the party decided that we have to start regrouping and reinvigorating and preparing for elections, we have started to have regular meetings in District 13. Just last month, we finalized all of our cells in all the communities across the district. So working at the grassroots level gives me that edge, because they will make the decision and they know that I am one of the strongest candidates in the district currently, and also know that I have been working diligently with the party at the district level and at the national level. So whatever we have invested into the party, it will pay off, and I'm confident I'm going to get the party's ticket.
This last question on the softer note, what is your message you would like to send to supporters that are following you via this online platform?
Well, we are on a rescue mission. I'm from the Unity Party, so I buy into the rescue mission of Ambassador Joseph Nima Boakai. I normally refer to myself, since we declare the rescue mission, as Rescue 13. I am from District 13 and therefore Rescue 13. And this is a mission to move Liberia from where it is years ago. We know the Unity Party had their own flaws. No government is perfect, but no one can deny the fact that when Unity Party took over Liberia's governance system, Liberia was considered a failed state, and we took Liberia to a place where we became admirable by others in the region, in the continent, and in the world.
That will take us to WIA's State of Nation address that was delivered on Monday. Cornelia, what did you grab from that message?
I'll just piggyback on what our National Vice Chair for Administration, who delivered this year's State of the Nation, our response to the State of the Nation. And it was simple. President Weah proved to the Liberian people yesterday that he's living in a different Liberia than what we live in currently. Because everything he presented as the state of the nation is actually not the state of the nation. He threw numbers around, and those numbers do not trickle down to the current reality of the Liberian people. If you tell the Liberian people that you have a budget that has increased and you have had budget surpluses here and there, and the Liberian person on a daily basis who goes to the market to sell cannot sell. In the past, what they used to sell, maybe a carton or chicken foot, they would sell the entire carton for one day. Now they have to carry one carton for 1 week, and you tell that person that there has been a budget surplus. It's not the same Liberia that we live in. When you go and tell a Liberian person that you've had budget surplus and Liberia is doing well and investment and everything is okay, but Liberians used to pay $13 for rice and now they pay $17 for rice, is not the same Liberia. So obviously President Weah lives in another country, in his own bubble, where he just sees what his praise singers want him to see, and Liberians will continue to suffer with that kind of leadership because obviously he's not in touch with the reality.
Is there not a sector or a particular area where we can accord this government some applause?
I would say we should give them applause in the cultural and tourism sector because that's where they're doing well. You see a parade of government officials wearing berets and dressing. We had the State of the Nation address, and we had a lawmaker dressed in a buba, as they call it in Nigeria, where you wear in the gown with President Weah's face. That was a fun fair. So I gave them plus for that. That is something they're really developing in how to transform a state, a seat that you have into a fun fair or making fun of Liberian people. So they've invested a lot. They have invested a lot into segregating this country. Liberia has become more divided than it was 5 years ago. You cannot sit in a space, in public spaces, and easily identify with your political party or your political affiliation because you will be labeled as an opposition and they will hunt after you. So Liberians now are living in more fear than they were a few years ago. Yes, we hear President Weah always talk about his investment in roads, but we wish that he could take those roads from just around his house in rehab and take it to places that deserve to have this road. I talk about the road, the New Georgia Road. New Georgia Road is deplorable. The roads that President Weah currently has, about 10 roads leading right to his house. Right around his house, he did the 10 different avenues coming right back to his house. If he had taken some of the money from there and invested it in doing the road from New Georgia Junction to the estate, for example, it will improve the life of people. So this government has been so selfish. They have been more involved with benefiting themselves and making themselves happy than making it like Liberian people
As
happy.
we edge onto election, he has committed himself to a free and transparent election. Do you trust that statement?
I do not. It is President Weah. President Weah made 200 promises to that, and out of that 264 promises, he was only able to achieve about 20 some more.
So you think he's not going to keep that promise?
So obviously, as in the past that he has not kept any promise, we think he's just adding that to his basket of promises that he has made to the Liberian people. But we, as the Unity Party and other friendly opposition political parties, we can assure the Liberian people that we take this election very seriously. We're going to put every mechanism in place to not just ensure that our people vote, but to protect our vote. We did it during the senatorial elections where we're able to protect our vote, and the actual results were given. We ensure that this happened. I currently am the national vice chair for inter-party and NEC affairs of the Unity Party, and one of the missions that we have is to ensure that we checkmate the National Elections Commission every step of the way and bring to light some of these missteps that are happening. We are currently alarmed by some of the things that's happening. We've seen in recent time the NEC has application on the internet for poll watchers or for electoral employees or those that they will assign to the different pools, and now they have taken that process from under the magistrates. In the past, you will apply to the magistrates and the vetting and everything will be decentralized. We now see a system where the Elections Commission is telling everybody to apply on the internet to the NEC directly. How many counties in Liberia have stable internet that will give access to all of those people to apply? Are we just going to have people only from Monserrato applying to be pool washers, and then you take those people from Monserrato and send them to Grand Crew, for example, and they have no understanding of the area because that's not where they are? Those are things that we are concerned about as the Unity Party. Will be flagging those issues as well, along with other elections related issues.
You are amongst few of the Unity Party stalwarts that have been very critical of the We Are led government. I have been following your Facebook post. I would like to know concerning, I'm told your dad is also in the government. Your views, you express his position in government. How do you balance those things?
So one thing my father and myself do is that we have respect for each other politically.
Your father is working with the current government.
My father is Minister of Post and Telecommunications of the CDC-led government. He was also recently elected as the chairman of the MDR political party in Liberia, Prince Johnson Party, because he's from Nimba. And we come from a background where we both respect each other political stance. If you followed my election in 2018, you will see that it almost cost him his job, but he was frantic with them to tell them that this is her decision. If she has decided to contest as an opposition candidate, I cannot ask her to let go of those dreams because I work with the government. We have both agreed that if he has to lose his job as a result of having an intolerant government that thinks that they should control everyone, then that is his loss. But for us, we are on the side of fighting for the Liberian people. This is an advocacy that I have been involved with for too long, and I will not let anyone else to drive me from what I'm passionate about and what I believe in. So he believes in something else. He believes in another political ideology. He comes from another political party. Since I got involved in politics, I've always been a Unity partisan. My father and myself, we've never been on the same political side as long as I've known myself and gotten involved in politics. So we're both comfortable with being on the opposite side and just respecting each other.
Will it be a good thing if one says that you have said the government has massively failed and he's on board the government? Will it be a logical position to say that your father has also contributed to such failure?
Oh, trust me, I never detach my father from the failures of this government. I feel they all, from the top to the bottom, have failed the Liberian people. If you follow my posts on Facebook, you will see that whenever I go after the government and people come in his defense, I go after him as well. If you follow my different interviews, when I'm asked about the work that they're doing, I also critique it. I feel that nationally, the CDC has no vision for the people, and where the government has no vision, is not possible for any particular institution. My father knows that I'm a political person, and he respects that. Whether he takes offense to it, sometimes he reaches out when I make some of these posts, but it's just to say, okay, I'm just cautioning you, or I'm working in the government. And I always tell him, with all due respect, but I'm doing my job as an opposition. What I'm supposed to do is to make sure I checkmate this government so that you do the right thing. Being my father does not stop me from putting this government feet to the fire.
Madam Cornelia, finally, not many women will actually aspire to the level that you are trying to go to. What is your advice to young Liberian females in this country?
I would say go for it. If you're passionate about change, if you're passionate about politics as much as I am, if you're a leader in your own way, go for it. It's nothing to be afraid of. 2 weeks ago, about a week ago, I was just posting on my social media that it had been very long since I heard invectives where people will call you by the time you're a woman in politics. They're like, oh, excuse my English, but it's almost like a song. They'll say, oh, you're a prostitute or you're a lesbian or something. It had been so long since someone told me that. And last week, we're just in an exchange in one of the District 13 chat room, and then they came at me with the, oh, shut up, man, you little lesbian. So I was like, oh, I actually feel like I'm in politics once more. Okay. So it's nothing to be afraid of. As a woman, you just have to have thick skin. For too long, politics has been a man's word, so it's strange to see strong women getting involved. And once you get there, put the cotton in your ear and don't listen to anything. Keep your eyes on the goal. And I am always available to mentor young Liberian women when they always reach out. Whatever way I can serve as an inspiration to young women or other women who want to get involved in politics, I'm open to doing that, and I'll continue to contribute my quota.
Okay, this contributor on our Facebook page is writing to you. He's Peter T. Fala. He says, I am following you from Kakata, Margibi County, JNB 2023, but want to connect with you, says Cornelia Kra Topa. He's asking that he would like to connect with you. He's Peter T. Fala from Margibi County. Let me see on our Facebook page if we can get some of the comments that are popping up from okay. Most of the comments that are coming are commendations for the work that we are doing. But Madam Cornelia Kratuba, let me get your concluding statement before we take leave of you this afternoon.
I'd like to say to the people of District 13, especially the women in District 13, about a week ago I launched the women's movement, which brings women together, not just to discuss the issues affecting them in District 13, but also to campaign for me as a female candidate and make sure that this time a woman gets the seat in District 13.
Okay.
I would say to District 13, this is an opportunity to correct the wrong that we made in 2018. This is an opportunity to ensure that the district progresses. Let's make use of it. I'm availing myself to serve my people, and I hope that you can give me the opportunity. I also like to say that the Unity Party has proven in the past that we know how to fix Liberia's problem. We know how to move Liberia from being a failed state to one where we now can be admired by other countries and were respected. There was dignity in our workforce, and we are telling you now that the CDC has taken us back to some of those dark days. The only thing different is they are not gunshot, but this is an economic war on the Liberian people. Join the rescue team today in District 13 in Liberia, and let's make a difference.
She's the vice chair for Interparty and NEC Affairs of the former ruling Unity Party, Madam Cornelia Kratuba. Thank you. It has been a wonderful interaction with you this afternoon on Punch TV. Wheresoever you are in the diaspora, we are going to run for a very short break. The former Deputy Foreign Minister, Honorable Elias Shone, is already in the building. We will take him in a jiffy. Please stay with us as we run for this very brief break.
Your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie la bestie. Fire friend.
I say, see bestie, 110 to FE. Fire friend. I hear them say, they want me go, I say,
Some of them say they want me go,
I say,
Some French Some French Some French Your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie la bestie. Funny friend.
I say, see bestie, 110 to FE. Fire friend. They won't step on my blessing, but God get it breaking, huh? They won't call it my blessing, but God get it breaking, huh?
French, see French, come see Papa T French, and I want no bad for French. Wangolo for bestie, Wangolo for daddy,
I say, I hear them say, they want me go, I say,
Some French Some French Some French
want to weffy, weffy, why my lonely fire friend let me.
Welcome back to the program. This is Trending Issues on Punch TV. My name is Vanny Dix. Joining us now in studio is former Liberia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Honorable Elias Shoney. He's here this afternoon. Primarily, we will get his take on some of the experiences he had while working in government. How did he use his portfolio at the time to effect the level of global recognition on the part of Liberia? Mr. Shoney will talk about his brief moment within the CDC-led government. We will get his take on some of the foreign relation issues, the shutting down of Liberia's the Liberia's consular service, I beg your pardon, in Minnesota. We will get his view as well on Mr. Weah's State of Nation address that was delivered on Monday, and many other trending issues in the public space. Honorable Shoney, good afternoon. Welcome. This is Punch TV.
Good afternoon, Vanny. Good to see you again. Long time.
Yeah, it is my pleasure, Chief, to have you on the TV this afternoon. How have you been keeping?
It's been pretty well. Minding my business and getting deeper into the private sector. Very interesting transition, which I think is working pretty well. Sure, and I'm also getting deeper into academia as well.
Okay.
Working at the Cotton University Graduate School.
Are you more occupied now that you are in the private sector as compared to while serving in government? In terms of your level of stress relief and all those things?
I wouldn't say. I think I had more stress in government than the private sector. I do recall while working in government, I was spending at least about 16 hours a day, leaving my home at 6:30 in the morning, and returning on an average of 12 p.m., 12 in the night, 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. in the morning. That was a routine for me. So now, as a member of the private sector, I control my time.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. I control my time. I get more time of rest. And yes, and I do a lot more coordination.
You say you are in the academia now. What are you doing specifically in that light?
Oh, sure. I'm currently the dean of the School of Global Affairs and Policy at Cotton University, schools of graduate and professional studies.
Okay. So these are some of the engagement you're having outside of government. So I want to go back now. We want to start off first with your time you served in government. I want you to elaborate a little bit on how did your period at the time, working with other ministers, how did you people work to reposition Liberia's image following the civil war that we were plunged into for some 14 years?
I'll tell you, Vanny, working with government first was a great experience, as you say. It's one of those experiences that I value real much, and I believe that that has contributed significantly to the personality that I am currently, because you're talking about 14 years in no small time. But I do recall when I first joined government from the non-profit sector, because I left World Vision few months after, and then I got appointed as Assistant Foreign Minister. The reality was a little bit drastic. I was very, and it was tough, because when I got in as Assistant Minister, my first month, and when I received my paycheck, I then decided I was going to resign. I do recall when I insisted I was going to see President Sirleaf that evening to speak with her concerning my resignation, because my first paycheck was $340 United States dollars
as an assistant
as
minister.
Assistant Foreign Minister.
What year was that?
That was 2006.
Okay.
2006 January. I think we're quick to forget in Liberia.
Okay.
Many Liberians do not remember where this country came from. But I do remember, because I was part of those that helped fix it, and bore the brunt of doing so, and made the sacrifices. I feel real proud, because I gave 14 years of my gainful time to the service of this country, and at a very critical time when our country was transitioning from a prolonged civil crisis to democratic governance and economic development. So I remember when I left office that evening around 8 p.m., I insisted I was going to see President Sirleaf because had I slept over here, I was probably going to resign in the morning. So I went out to President Sirleaf's residence without any appointment, and the EPS guys were a little bit uneasy, about in terms of what to do. They tried to give me the due courtesy and respect, but at the same time, didn't want to put their jobs at risk. So they said, Minister, do you have an appointment with President Sirleaf? I said, no, I don't. They said, oh, but Minister, can you call one of the special assistants? So fortunately, Medina Wisa was then the special assistant to Madam President. She was still in. Okay. So I got in touch with her, and she asked me, she said, well, Elias, can we do this tomorrow? Madam is just about to retire for the day. So I said, look, it's important that I see her this evening. Okay. And when we finally met, she came outside to the Palaver Hut, and we met, and she said, Elias, what is it that is happening tonight that you can't wait until tomorrow? And I said, Madam, because I may probably resign, because what I make, I just received my paycheck today, and it cannot even pay my house rent. At the time I was living on the air fee and paying $500 a month. And I got a paycheck of $340 as assistant foreign minister. So she then very, very solemnly too, said to me, look, we assume this responsibility, and this is going to be a journey that we're just beginning. And this country has seen so much. And we all have to put ourselves in the frame of mind to help fix it. And then that was when she informed me that she had cut her own office budget by 50%. She did not announce that to the public, because I had no knowledge of that, though. But she informed me, said, like, I had to also make the sacrifice. So I do understand that $350 is, for your rank, is completely unacceptable. But we can now start to spend other people's money on ourselves, especially we inherited a budget of $80 million for the running of the entire government. And you can see everything is broken. So let's join me. Let's make this sacrifice together. Okay. And she did something very unorthodox. And then and not just that, but embarrassing as well. I was embarrassed a little bit because then she sent for her bag. And she asked Medina to bring her bag over, and she took $2,000. Said, okay, you pay your house rent for 4 months, and let's keep on this journey. So I got I would say flabbergasted in a way, but in a positive way. And I sat there, I said, okay, Madam President, thank you, but it's tough, And this is just one example of the challenges that we had to endure when Liberia transitioned into democratic governance in 2006. And I remember also, I drove my own personal vehicle for about 2 years. Government could not afford buying vehicles for assistant ministers. Oh. Yeah, sure, about 2 years, and traveled extensively around the world. At the time, most of the time in budget hotels, because the rates were really low at the time. But gradually, as we worked, things started to get better with the economy, with the country. And I do recall in 2017, Liberia recorded 8.7% growth, counted among the 20 fastest growing economies in the world. And when I look back at the time to 2006 and all we had to endure, then I pat myself on the shoulder and also appreciate that many others who contributed.
You think this was to some extent due to your diplomatic engagements?
It was
largely due to that?
It was an effort of everyone. It was an effort of so many moving parts. And one of the things that I normally would recall is that I think I was really blessed when I entered foreign ministry, because I had an opportunity to work with the last, what we call creme de la creme of Liberia Foreign Service. Okay. We had individuals like Ambassador Carton Kape, Ambassador Charles Henford, who drafted the MOU in Sanikole when President Topman, Nkrumah, and Sekou Touré met. And we had people like Ambassador Christopher Minicon, Ambassador Eastburn was still, Tyrannus Eastburn was popping in every now and then, in and out. And we had all those great ambassadors who led Liberia's international engagement for over 50 years. So it was my pleasure to learn from those people. And I worked with them long hours. We would be in there up to 10, 11 p.m. In the night. But I think I understudied them, and I understudied them well, I believe.
So within the space of the time you serve in government, Liberia's ties with whether the U.S. and other multilateral partners, bilateral partners, what kind of Liberia did you people leave for the WIA-led government, international-wise?
There was a whole lot of work to do, because a country that had been off the international scene for about 14 years, returning that country was not an easy thing. I do recall we were indebted to almost all international organizations to which we were party, and that was one of our strategic plan to ensure that we restore Liberia's relationship with those institutions, and not just that, but the restoration of our voting rights, because we couldn't vote in many of the institutions.
Okay.
Yeah, many of them, many of them.
Okay.
So and that required money, that required engaging, that required requesting waiver. So we did a lot of engagement and waiver in instances where they were allowed. And then we also did payment plans in instances where institutions didn't have any provision that allowed for the cancellation of out of the arrears. So we did payment plans with those institutions as such. And I think by 2017, the country was in a very good shape internationally, particularly with regards to our image.
Okay.
Because, and you also know, I don't have to say, President Shirley was a superstar. I traveled with her from assistant minister to deputy minister for international economic cooperation before becoming principal deputy minister and then acting foreign minister for a period of time in transition. So I benefited from her network. I drew from her way of doing things she did internationally and her style of diplomacy. And they were quite beneficial to Liberia.
Very. So coming to that point now, meaning her global influence has some significant impact on the country. But President Weah also had a global influence, though in the sports arena. Why haven't we been able to see that kind of attraction from the international partners as well?
But you just lay out the distinction.
But he's from the international scene.
Yeah, both of them definitely were from the international scene, but they were from different sectors in the international scene.
Okay.
And President Shirley was mainly from sector of governance, so she was involved in global governance.
Okay.
Working with UNDP, with the African Development Bank, Citibank, and then the World Bank, and so forth. She had basically rooted herself in how things work and in terms of a network. So she was leveraging her network, because those are the institutions that get things moving and collaborating with governments to help shape their economies and help shape their governance system and so forth.
So we need leaders that can network out there.
So she had that already. President Weah, a legend in his own right, obviously reached the pinnacle of sports, I would say generally. Winning the Ballon d'Or and making a name for himself and for Liberia in many instances as well. But that's a totally different arena. You must understand, the people who control the sports are the people who bring the resources to the game, isn't it? And those people are mostly business executives and so forth. And those are the people who engage with governments directly. So often, those are different levels of relationship. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, I think that should be made clear and understandable. And we must also understand this was President Weah's first time in governance. So we do believe that I do expect that there will have been errors, and my only thing is that our determination to fix those errors every time we make them. I think that's what matters.
So over the last 6 years, now that Mr. Weah has been in power, what can you say about Liberia's global position? What's your view? Between 2018 to now.
You must be reminded that I was also in the WIA administration.
I will come to the issue of why you resign as well, but I want to get your view on what do you make of Liberia's current global positioning?
I haven't done more analytical and empirical study on this to be able to say outrightly. But from my observation, I think we need to do a little bit of priming when it comes to our foreign affairs. There are a lot of work to be done to try to keep sustain the image. I think the personnel is the first thing. The kind of people we deploy into the foreign service. That's so important because those are the people that represent us. They represent our country. Their attitude, their professionalism, their ability determine who we are, because it will be expected that we will send our best to the foreign service. So a foreigner who meets a Liberian foreign service, a personnel, will draw a sense of what Liberia is based on who you interact with. So I think it's something that we need to pay attention to.
But there are critics who believe that over the last 5 to 6 years under President Weah, the kind of image that Liberia had on the world stage is not as it used to be. Some believe that there is this demeaning view in the world's view about Liberia. Do you agree with that? Maybe in some instances also?
As I told you before, earlier, because I served about 1.5 years in this government, I don't want to be seen by many people who, whenever they leave government, then they come back as the loudest person in the room. And trying to be extremely negative about stuff. So most of the time, I try to recuse myself from responding. Obviously, I may have a view, but I try to keep it professional because I was not a politician in foreign ministry. I was a professional foreign service official, even though I was in a political role, actually. But at the foreign ministry, the foreign ministry is not the other ministries where you in senior roles and you be in advocacy and other kinds of stuff. You're not supposed to, because you create an image of yourself that even members of the diplomatic corps will not respect you and will not value your opinion. They'll always think that your opinion often might be political or politicized based on your position. So,
but you're outside.
I try to keep it that way. I'm outside of government, but I'm still an embodiment of Liberia Foreign Service, I must say.
So are you saying you reserve comment on that?
If you want to take it that way, then I would say then sure.
Okay, so let me go back to your reason for resigning. There has been many publications surrounding why you had to resign. We will move into other issues of substance regarding the president's address, and there was a comment that he did make on that Monday in the public space where he said if you are not a friend to the U.S. government, it means that you are an enemy to Liberia. But back to why did you resign from the CDC government?
Funny. So, okay, I have my own principles and my own policy. And I try to, whenever I work in any institution, I take professionalism, number one, above every other thing. And I try to, as much as I can, minimize the politics. Because politics may be good, but I can tell you, politics kills productivity. Because most often we make decisions politically and not technically. And at the end of the day, if you just set a little example, if you just do a little, I would say a mood study, where a person trying to hire people decides that he or she will do it politically, and the other person decides that he or she will do it technically. You see the outcome of that. The outcome clearly will show that the person who decided to do it technically will get the best person, and that person will bring productivity, innovation, and creativity to the role they'll be going in. But the person politically, all basically looking for is a loyalty. Someone who is loyal, someone who can sing song for you when you're traveling, the person follows you, and other kinds of stuff. So we always got choices in society. Whenever a person is in government, they always got choices. Either you move into a role and take such level of seriousness and meritocracy in that role to yield productivity, or you decide to go as a politician and everything you do is political and you run the institution down. So I think you can draw between the analogy as I've just made, to conclude, to come to a conclusion. But when I was in the foreign ministry, I think there were differences in policy between myself and at the time the person who was the foreign minister. Yeah, there was a sharp difference in policy. So, and that started to create some tension. And while I was figuring out what to do about it, and then the minister traveled one day and left my subordinate officer as acting minister.
While you were in country?
While I was in country. So this subordinate officer came over to my office, and he was also a deputy minister, deputy for international cooperation, a position I served in before becoming principal deputy minister.
Okay.
So he came over to inquire if I was traveling. So I said, no, I'm not traveling. He said, oh, but how come you're not traveling? And I received a memo that I'm in charge. I said, oh, really? He said, yes, what's going on? So I said, I don't know. I said, but you know, it's in the law. The law is very clear. A memo cannot change what is legal. The law says, in the absence of the foreign minister, the deputy minister of foreign affairs automatically become acting foreign minister. The law goes further to say that even if the minister is in country but he indisposed, the deputy foreign minister can act on his behalf and report to him or she after.
Okay.
So it's in the law. So I believe strongly in the law. I believe in the principle of the legal tenants. So when that happened, I then decided, okay, so what I would do, I would pack my bag and leave. Whenever they fix it, when they correct the law, conform to the law, I would come back.
Was the president not saddened by your departure at the time?
I never got a sense of the president's sentiments towards my departure, because I never met with him again since that time. I left, and when I left, I didn't resign initially. I left for about a week, hoping that it would be fixed, that the law will be conformed to. But after a week, when it didn't happen, then I thought, okay, I think there seems to be a broad government policy, so I think I should just get out.
Okay. So over the last few years, what is your view also of the involvement of our international partners in the governance affairs of this country? Do you think they have been really involved? Have we been able to attract that level of international dividends?
Look, Avani, I tell you, everything that happened to Liberia from 2006 to 2017, that is taking the country from all economic free fall and moving it on to passing failed state, passing pariah state, and moving it on to 8.7% growth. It just doesn't happen by itself. It is people with skills, with knowledge, with experience, and with the necessary competences that make it happen. So I would just say to you that if any government wants to succeed, they will have to trump politics a little bit and just gather together people with the skills that can help them change the lives of the people. Yeah.
So again, let me go back to that question. We have the Chinese here, we have the Americans here, we have other international partners here like the Swedish and so. So my point is, do you think there has been some slowdown on any part of these international actors in our development process as compared to the Ellen-led administration?
What I would ask you to do is to take a minute to observe and do an analysis of those who are leading our foreign policy now, the caliber, quality of those leading our foreign policy now, well, the caliber and quality of those leading it then. You will know what the outcome is.
Okay. So you don't think right now we are attracting that level of dividend?
I believe we can do better.
You think so?
I believe we can do better.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do better.
So we'll go back to other issues, but let me get your view as well. The U.S. government sanctioning of 3 prominent figures in Liberia. Did it come as a surprise to you? What's your take on that sanctioning?
I should say that I was not very surprised, to be really honest with you.
You weren't?
I was not, because working in government, even working in this administration at the time, I know there were a lot of concerns in the international community. There were a lot of concerns in our diplomatic community here, and there were a lot of complaints quietly going around that, of different things that were going on.
Okay.
And even after I left the government of Liberia, and then I got an appointment at Yale University as a War Fellow, I still continue to engage in Washington often with members of the international community.
Okay.
Particularly
so you were surprised?
Particularly those who were interested in Liberia's future.
Okay.
And I got sentiments from them, and I heard them speak about what they thought was going on. And some of them were frustrated, hoping that things can get better. But I was not very surprised, because The American government got clear principles and policies that they expect that ally countries, because Liberia is an ally of the United States, that countries, friendly countries, will take. And if those countries are now taking those kind of action or the kind of that role that they anticipate, there are consequences, clear consequences. So it's like 1 + 1 will always be 2. I don't care what you do, it will be 2. So the U.S. government will be kind to you because they have an existing relationship with Liberia, a very long one too, a traditional one. So they will not disengage. I doubt they will ever disengage from any government.
They will not disengage.
They will not disengage.
Okay.
However, they will take actions that they feel necessary.
Okay.
That will bring individuals or government back, to taking the route that they believe is the right role to take.
So this is where the government, because the U.S. government will not disengage totally, so the government makes it sometime to appear like everything is on course, but actions are being taken as well from the U.S., on the part of the U.S. government. So back now to the issue of another big thing that happened was the situation with the Chinese. The Chinese had promised to build an overpass bridge within the Bolivar Belt. We were told about that. There were other projects that were earmarked as well by the Chinese. In no time, there was this situation that came up at the level of the UN. We were told that the Liberian government melted into domestic issues with the Chinese. How did you respond to that when you got that information?
The first thing is I tried to figure out what motivated our vote. What informed our vote, because in diplomacy, you don't just go voting.
Okay.
One of the things you try to look at is the pattern. What has been the pattern of vote on this particular matter?
Okay.
In this particular case,
Okay.
what the pattern has been in the past, and why they did it the way they did it in the past.
Okay.
And so, are the circumstances different? The circumstances then that influence us to vote the way we did. Are the circumstances different now?
Okay.
So all of those different patterns are taken into consideration. And then we also then try to figure out our different allies to figure out what they feel about that particular vote. We also engage with the African Union as well to know how the African Union countries, our neighbors, how they might likely vote, because you don't want to be isolated. You don't want your vote to be an isolated vote where you vote alone. You know what I'm saying? And I do recall we had an experience of this kind when I was in this administration, where there was a suggestion for us to vote against the Cuba bill at the UN General Assembly, and the decision was basically made. So when I was acting minister, I went up to President Weah. I said, Mr. President, I heard this thing was made, but I think we are about to blow it out. He said, oh, what happened? And I explained to him. I gave him examples of the pattern as to how we've been voting and how many countries have been voting on that vote. And at the time, all of the evidence showed that 191 out of 193 countries voted for that vote. And Liberia always voted for that bill.
Okay.
So only 2 countries did not. It was only the U.S. and Israel.
So that was consultation. You had to consult.
So what we did normally, because America is our traditional and great ally, and China has been one of our greatest post-conflict, development ally as well. You know what I'm saying? So we have to balance it out. So what we did, we abstained.
Okay.
Yeah, we abstained.
So abstention was the best option.
What's the best option?
Sure. Mr. Minister, they say minister always a minister. We'll hold you there and go to Nimba County briefly. Come back to you. There is a local journalist that will be connecting with shortly on the program. Jerome Say is on the line from Nimba County. Yeah. We are told that the student body at the Nimba University have staged a protest in that part of the country. Jerome, bring us up to speed.
Thank you very much. It's a great due to actually be on the show this afternoon. I'm actually happy. It is exactly true. Almost we are going to the second week now. There has been no school for the Nimba University students here. And what prompted that? Last week, Tuesday, the Faculty Association organized a press conference, and in a press conference, they announced to the public that they were not going to, go to the classroom. And what were the reasons? Several reasons were outlined by them. One of the reasons was since Nimba University transition from Nimba Community College, because it used to be Nimba Community College, formerly known as NCCC. Since NCCC transition from the college status to the university status, the same budget that it used to receive is the same budget that they receive up to this time. How much was that? They used to receive 1.1 million. 1.1 million annual budget from the government of Liberia. And they receive 1.1 million and they receive 1.1 million. According to them, they have made effort for the government engaging the Nimba factors and
Jerome, tell us the current situation there. Tell us the current situation there with the students. What are they doing specifically?
Okay. Nimba University is closed as we speak. Last week, the students have not been able to go to school. Members of the association have not been able to go to their various classes. So the news as we speak, the classes are still closed.
So what are the students doing now? Are they staging a go slow at the moment as we speak? Are they give us a description? What are they doing at the moment?
All right. Saturday, all the major cities in Sanikole were locked down by the students from the institution. And according to them, they have done that to create the immediate attention of the government, because they are being diplomatically engaged in the government. So they are being engaged in the government and to no avail. So they feel that diplomacy doesn't work. So what they should do is go on a ramp. And one of the thing they did for themselves was to prevent the club from coming to Nimba, because Nimba is the champion of the 2022 National Tennis Movement. Nimba Cup to enter Sanikole. So what they did is they prevented the cup from entering Sanikole at the appropriate time until other people
Has there been any official statement from the county authority, precisely the university?
There has not been any official statement made. Like on Monday, we were told that we had a meeting at the campus. So we went to the campus to listen to what the administration was that meeting came to a fiasco.
Okay.
Up to this time, the fate of the university in Taliban.
Okay. Jerome, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful. And then information that is given, Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerome. Jerome C. on the line live from Nimba County, filling us in with latest development regarding the Nimba University, where students have staged a go slow because the faculty of that institution also decided to boycott all classroom activities. We are told that they are calling for budgetary increment to the institution. But Mr. Shone, do you want to weigh in on that before we move on?
To weigh in on the Nimba County situation? Yeah, I think that's a critical issue. Look, education, the need for education support cannot be overemphasized. There has been no country, history has shown us, that has ever transitioned from underdeveloped to developed without significant investment and intentional investment and strategy and planning in education. And I believe that is one of Liberia's biggest dilemma. We need to pay attention to that.
Okay.
We need to pay that we have at least some form of college or university in every county at the moment. But we need to support that. And every hands should be on deck. All of the legislators for those counties and central government need to get involved. And I'm hoping that the students, while in their demonstration, are not only holding questioning central government, they also need to question their local authorities as well.
Honorable Shone, with the next 15 to 20 minutes, we want to transition, and I'm sure my audience would like you to touch a bit on some of the national issues as we move on to election. You are a Liberian, though you come from the field of diplomacy, but I would like to hear you share your thought on these issues. Monday, President Weah, he addressed the nation and told Liberians where we are as a country and what are his plans for the country. What did you gather from that speech, and what can you say about his address?
the first thing I will suggest is that those drafting the president's annual or State of the Nation address need to understand that you don't have to allow the president to speak for 4 hours.
Okay.
To be able to convey more effectively what he wants to say to the Liberian people.
Okay.
Many people did not end that speech because it was just too long unnecessarily, I would think.
That's their first.
Yeah, sure. The great United States of America, the average time for the presentation of the annual address of the American president is 1 hour 30 minutes.
Yeah.
1 hour 30 minutes. And we're talking about trillions of budget in terms of GDP, in trillions. You know, and we're talking about GDP here, just about almost $3 billion. And what I think we need to revisit that.
Okay. So the substance of the speech, what did you pick up?
And when it comes to the substance of the speech, another thing again, I will advise that those writing the president's speech, look, the presidency is not for joke. The presidency is a serious institution all by itself. And those writing the president's speech need to understand that you're writing for the president. When you put in numbers, those numbers must be verified over and over and over again.
Okay.
Because whatever the president says represents the office of the president and represents him and represents the entire government.
Did you capture any irregularity with figures?
You know, I think there were a number of times where I believed that those numbers should have been looked at properly.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, they should have been looked at properly.
Okay.
And secondly, I also think also more importantly, one of the areas that I think the president did not emphasize, and for me that's the most important area, when people are listening to that kind of an important speech, that's what they look for.
Okay.
Issues of the quality of life.
Okay.
I think that the speech should be built around the quality of life of the people, because for the people, that is the measure of progress for them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That is, today I cannot eat 3 times square meal, but tomorrow, after 1 year, I now can afford 1 time.
So when you talk about the roads, the dollar market, they want to hear about food.
Those are critical, but how do you link all of those to improvement of the quality of life?
Okay.
For me, that's the most important thing.
You did not hear that.
You know, I think that it probably, I didn't get a crux of that.
Okay.
Perhaps they spread it around, and it shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? Because every Liberian were listening anxiously yesterday. They want to know what has happened in terms of last year. We're eating perhaps we're eating 1 time meal. Today, there should be an announcement that at least now Liberians can eat 2 times a day.
Yeah.
And then the year after should be able to report that Liberians can now eat 3 times a day. And Liberians can now can turn their faucet and pipe-borne water come in their home. Liberians can turn the switches and light come on.
Okay.
Liberians can afford going to school. Those are the things that
you wanted to hear.
Those are the things that make up the quality of life.
Okay.
That's how people measure to know that life is getting better and that there's hope for the future.
Do you think the speech didn't resonate with the people?
I think the speech should have been built around issues that really matter to the people. I tell you, I'm not saying that bridges and roads are not important. They are really, really important. But I'm telling you, those are cement and steel. But when you talk about the soft things that matter to the everyday lives of the people, like food, someone waking up in the morning and there's a clear guarantee that they will be able to get meal that day. Okay. Someone waking up in the morning, there's clear guarantee that they don't have to walk 1 mile of scouting the community to get just 1 bucket of water. Someone waking up in the morning and knowing that they can turn on their light and their light can come on and they can be able to cook from their low $30 stove. Those are quality of life. Someone can get their child, can find their child sick this morning and they have no doubt they can confidently pick up that child and take that child to a hospital and the child is served and taken care of and treated.
Okay.
Those are the measure of the quality of life. And I think that's what such important speeches should be built around. Yeah.
During that program, with the extensive experience that you have in issues of foreign relations, the Chinese were there as well as other partners. But President Weah made a specific comment which also got some public attention when he said, if you are an enemy to the U.S. government, you are an enemy to the Liberian government. Even though the U.S. is our traditional partner, but was that gathering and was that the best place for such to have been said? What is your view? What can you say about that?
I would say that that was a political statement in the first place, and I think that was non-diplomatic. I must be honest with you, and because you can make any other country feel less important at such an extremely important event.
Okay.
We all do understand that the United States is our strongest and biggest ally, and besides that, the United States is our consistent largest donor.
Okay.
The United States, we all do remember 2006, the peace we enjoyed today, how the peace started. The United States president had to put everything at stake to demand, that Liberia war ended. And after that, they didn't stop. They led the effort with the Security Council to ensure that the largest UN peacekeeping forces at the time, 17,000 strong men and women, arrived on this shore through the effort of the United States. The United States was the country that actually submitted they sponsored the resolution that allowed the UN to come to this shore. And they didn't stop there. They matched that with support to the UN operations here and also with support to the post-country administration. So obviously the US is our biggest partner. You don't have to use that kind of a event, that kind of a setting to make such a statement. I don't think other countries would take that kindly.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But also you must understand the position the president in. I think in these cases we also have to turn the table around and stand from the president's position.
What's his position?
Look, the president is almost ending his term. He had never had a state visit to the United States.
Okay.
It is unusual. It is extremely unusual. You know that. And I'm saying, as our traditional ally. And secondly, the president got 3 of his high-ranking allies in government sanctioned by the United States of America.
Okay.
And the president just lost the MCC, and the Millennium Challenge Corporation. So there are a whole lot.
So what are some reasons why the U.S. wouldn't invite you directly as a leader? What are some reasons?
I cannot speak for the United States of America because I'm not authorized.
Maybe
to
your
do
experience.
But from my experience, I think there are concerns in Washington. I don't know exactly what the concerns are, but definitely there are concerns in Washington.
You think that's the reason he hasn't been invited?
Oh no, certainly. There are concerns in Washington.
Mr. Shoney, we have a few more minutes to go. Elections will be October. Let me find out from you, as a Liberian, you talk about being concerned about issues unfolding in the country. Are you intending to play any role in the election process, and what role are you going to be playing, if any?
You know, Vani, it's crazy because every time I travel out of this country, so many of my friends, former diplomats that served in Liberia, foreign diplomats that served here, when I met many of them, they will always suggest, Elias, so you mean you all sit and watch your country going the way it is? And I would say, okay, yes, I served for 14 years and I left government broke. I was trying to build one house 9 years. It took to finish. If I had to leave government to complete the house, you know that, buddy. so I have responsibility to my country, but I also have responsibility to my family, my children. So I have to make ends meet for them. So at this point, I served for 14 years under difficult circumstances. So I thought to give myself some respite and try to work in the private sector and raise money for my family. And then at some point, maybe later in the future, I might probably consider returning to service. But at least at a time when I believe that I have something independently that can support me while in service, because I'm not going to government to make money.
Okay.
I'm going to government to serve, because you know that should be the ultimate reason why anyone goes to government, to serve. Sure.
So you're giving me that kind of diplomatic answer, but I will still come back with this question. Elections will be in October. Will you be playing any maybe active role? Are you going to be in alignment with any political institution? Are we going to see your face within the electoral process? That was the question.
Okay, we got about 9 more months to the election.
Yeah.
And I'm currently building a business that we started that's just about 2 years old now.
Okay.
And we basically been having a number of international clients, and some of them are very keen on their institution and working with, not actively participating in politics.
Okay.
No, they do understand that as a member of a country, obviously you will engage politically, but not actively.
Okay.
So except where I will have to devolve
Make a decision.
all the responsibility of the institution to someone else,
Okay.
and then obviously then I can play a more active role. But at this point, I'm weighing all of the different options. But when it comes to personally putting my name on the candidate tag, it's not something that I'm thinking about.
Okay. Are you thinking about weighing your support also to any candidate for the presidential bid?
Yes, as I told you before, I'm looking at all of the options. I'm looking at all of the candidates currently. Okay. Even though there is one, clearly I'm a partisan. You know that. So, but however, at this point, I'm more concerned about the opposition bloc. So we're trying to figure out how the opposition can continue to engage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So lastly, let me get the message you want to send to young people, whether at the level of the Foreign Service Institute, at the level of foreign relations, Liberia, domestically. What message would you like to share with young people at such critical moment while we go to election?
This is a very critical time in the life of our country, and we cannot pretend that it is not. You know, as you get phone calls and mothers are on the phone crying that their children are sick and they cannot afford taking their children to hospital, that is mind-boggling. When you get, multiple calls each day where parents are calling and so bewildered and that they cannot afford paying school fees to give a future to their children. Those are all concerning. And even more importantly, when you look around your neighborhood and you see that the entire community don't have water, you know what I'm saying, safe drinking water, you know, that should be concerning. And there are a lot of issues that this country is faced with at the moment. And as community persons, as members of the community, as a Liberian, I just want to call on every Liberian to roll their sleeves, put their hands on the deck, and to find whatever resources they can or they have available to them to contribute at the community level to help changing some of the challenges and removing some of the burden that our society faces at the moment. Would be a good thing. But more importantly, I just want Liberians to be really keen as we go towards 2023 October this year election, not just only at the presidential level, but at the legislative level as well, for us to be real keen about how we vote. And I think we need to be clear that, look, when a doctor makes a mistake, only one person will lose their life. Okay. But when a government makes a mistake, hundreds of thousands of people will die, either from sickness or from lack of the rule of law, from accident, from ease of things that can be prevented. So we need to keep that in the back of our mind, and that if we're going to create the future for Liberia, if we sincerely want to create a future, we have to start to create that future right now.
Honorable B. Elias Shoney is former Liberia's Deputy Foreign Minister. He currently serves as the Dean of the School of Global Affairs and Policy at Cotton University. It has been a wonderful interaction with you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vanny. Good to see you again.
And let me extend warmest of appreciation to our viewers. Thank you so very kindly for following the platform. This is Punch TV. The program has been Trending Issues. My name is Vanny Ziz. Have yourselves a wonderful and a pleasant Wednesday afternoon. Bye-bye from my end.
If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me.
Bombe oh, find a friend like me. Bombe jene oh, find a friend like me. Bombe, find a friend like me. Bombe jene oh, find a friend like me.
Your bestie not sweet like my bestie. Your bestie la bestie. Find a friend like me.
I say, see bestie wanting to wealthy. Find a friend like me.
what they say.